members of the committee. My name is Jason Moore from the Lignite Energy Council. I was actually done for the day. I wasn't going to testify in opposition of every single bill. I think a lot of our opposition are very similar. But I did want to come up and just remind the committee that this is yet another bill that has policies intended and unintended consequences. I think that's one of our obligations, to continue to look for the intended and unintended consequences of these policies, the seen and foreseen consequences. And it's this body's obligation to apply their wisdom and our testimony to these policies, and then to allow the individuals in the room to go apply their labor and their capital. We oppose this bill because it extends that process and makes it more difficult to apply the labor to the capital in the back of the room. I note that not everyone is in favor of the energy industry, however. My earlier reference to environmental group was not directed to anyone in this room, although it evidently struck close enough at home to have someone walk across the room and get in my face. But my comments remain true. Enemies of energy development use multiple tactics to end energy development, including abusing the regulatory process to needlessly extend timelines. And yes, they buy property and property rights in order to thwart energy development. Doing good things today, sloppily or flippantly, may open doors for anti-energy groups to shut us down, as has been done elsewhere, but it will definitely chill private investment and remove the ability of the poor space owners in this room and elsewhere to turn their property into wealth. I made no assertion of the types of groups that are in this room. I think everyone in here is operating in good faith. I've heard the testimony shared by the landowners today, and many are truly heart-wrenching. You know, that engagement cannot be faked, and it shouldn't be discounted. It puts all of you in a tough spot, to be honest. As Mr. Swenson said earlier, this room is filled with good people. But that doesn't change the fact that the actions taken today, if they are not thoroughly studied for both intended and unintended consequences, can and will be exploited by groups outside of these walls. Whether it's through increasing costs, increasing regulatory complexity, or adding and extending to the regulatory approval process, the laws we pass will be used by those who oppose energy. Why do you think our Class 6 permit that I referenced earlier sat for 8 years in a Washington, D.C. office of President Obama's administration? It wasn't because they were trying to be thorough. It was because they were exercising a common tactic of those in the anti-energy environmental left to simply run the clock out. Running out the clock is one of their primary tactics. It increases costs. It kills projects. And actions taken today that increase the timelines will make that even easier. I'm just going to end by asking for an application of common sense, to ask this group if all of these bills had been in place 15 years ago, would North Dakota's property and mineral owners have been able to develop the Bakken as they have done? Would North Dakota's coal industry have been able to be world leaders in carbon capture technology, planning an extended retrofit capital improvement program? What would the DAPL protests have looked like? Would we be the energy leader, the global energy leader that we are today? And finally, would private property owners have been able to turn their private property into as much wealth as they had? With that, Mr. Chairman, I'd end in opposition to this bill and stand for additional questions.